Howdy folks, it's Zach, and I'm here to help you guys out with a new level 60 character in Star Wars The Old Republic. So obviously, in one of the most recent patches, they've allowed players to just jump right in at level 60 and go ahead and get started with the story content of the latest expansion. However, they have two ways of doing this. One is you use a tutorial, and what all that really does is let you move through the story, and they start adding moves onto your arsenal. But first they strip everything away down to its like core basic abilities, and then they start giving it back to you a little bit by little bit. What I'm going to show you today is to go ahead and exit out of that, which is really simple. You just hit escape and just hit disable tutorial, and it'll give you all the moves that you have available for a level 60 character. Today I'm going to focus in on the Gunslinger. The Gunslinger automatically comes to you in the Sharpshooter spec, which is a really fantastic spec for hitting single targets very hard, very efficiently, very quickly. It's very good on energy management if you're not spamming the wrong moves at the wrong time. And once you kind of get the flow of the rotation, you're hardly ever going to have any energy problems, and you're going to be able to do a lot of damage. The downsides of the spec, there's no damage over time, so if you do take this character eventually into raids, you may want to switch over into the engineering or what do they call it on this side? The virulent spec. Alright, which you can see here, your three different options of DPS. I'm sorry, I meant Saboteur and Dirty Fighting. I also play snipers a lot, and so I switch up the names a lot. Anyway, so let's talk some moves here. First off, this is the HUD as they originally give it to you. If you've seen some of my other videos, you definitely know that I recommend to change that HUD right away. I'm going to pause for a sec, I'm going to switch in my HUD, and I'll show you the new HUD configuration. Okay, so I just made the switch, and so you can see I have things are basically reduced in size. That way I have a lot more screen area. I have the map in an area that I really like. My chat box will be down here and under to the left. I have 3 utility bars over here to the right. You may choose to configure this however you want. Some people really like having a bunch of bars at the bottom, or having like a big block of stuff either to the left or to the right. Some people like to have their portraits and their enemy portraits down here. It really doesn't matter. What matters is that it's something that you feel comfortable with, and it doesn't have to stay that way. I have many different configurations of HUDs you can use. Make sure you do. But today we're focusing in on moveset. So, although I reconfigured my hotbars, everything is still kind of a mess on my hotbars. I'm going to pause for a sec. I'm going to reconfigure my hotbars, and then I'm going to tell you, once I unpause, why I changed what I did, what your core moves are for your ability list, and what you should be focusing on, and we'll go from there. Okay, and we're back. So, couple quick changes that I want to point out right away, and then we'll get rolling here. So, first things first. You know what, wait, I've noticed one other thing I forgot to move. There we go. You know, one of those things. Okay, there we go. Now we got some buffs. Alright, so I didn't completely load up on my hotbars. I just reconfigured what was already there. One thing to note about a Gunslinger in particular is that when you drop into cover, you're going to get a secondary action bar that's going to pop up, and to fill that, were a few moves there, a few extra versions of like leg shot and flourish shot. I just ditched them. That's not something I keep on that particular bar, and I'll show you why in a little bit. But let me step out of cover here, and I'll go over the main moves for you. So, for sure, you're going to want Flurry of Bolts somewhere. Flurry of Bolts is just your basic attack. It's nothing special, doesn't do anything special. In fact, it doesn't even really hit very hard. But what it does do is allow you to attack while also rebuilding up your energy pool. And there's going to be some fights where that could be important. Depending on how often you're spamming the wrong move at the wrong time, you may need to hit Flurry of Bolts once or twice. As you get better at the rotations, you won't really need to touch it very much, but it's always nice there to have, especially for this particular spec where you can't fire a lot of shots on the move. You do basically, you know, plant in cover and shoot from there. So knowing what you can use on the fly is really good. Alright, Charge Burst. Okay, that's a core part of the rotation. You've got Trick Shot. I have that on 3. I've got Penetrating Rounds on 4. I've got Burst Volley on 5. And these two work in tandem. You're going to find that once you use Penetrating Rounds, you can hit Burst Volley, and that just refreshes the cooldown on Penetrating Rounds. So I kind of like to have those pretty close to each other. Or if you have a quirky mouse, or some other cool combo-y trick that you like to hotkey into something, fine. Just know that these two do work in tandem. I do have aimed shot, which is the Gunslinger version of ambush. This is one of your hardest hitting moves, especially when you're fully buffed, and when you're using this guy over here, Smuggler's Luck. So a lot of times before the start of a fight, I'll hit Smuggler's Luck, drop into cover, target a bad guy, and wail on him with aimed shot. It's a great way to start a fight. On 7, I do keep my thermal grenade. It's not a core part of any rotation, but it is a very quick AoE that you can be using on the fly, so I do keep it handy. My 8 key I leave for something else that I don't have on my hotbars here yet. 9 is excess freighter flyby. It can only be used from cover, so I'm actually going to move that over to the cover bar. Ba-ba! Piece of cake. Smuggler's Luck, illegal mods. Illegal mods is a buff. It increases your range and attack accuracy by 30%. Really, really fantastic to use right before using this combination, penetrating rounds and burst volley. If you can, if you have enough time, it doesn't last for a whole lot of time. It only lasts for 10 seconds. If you are able to squeeze it in between an ambush, penetrating rounds, burst volley, penetrating rounds combo with those trick shots flared up in there, that's a pretty nasty combination in a 10-second period. So just keep that in mind. Okay, on my last one here, I have escape. And then my secondary hotbar, these are all keyed to my mouse. I'm just going to point out some of the moves here. Distraction, that is an interrupt. It's very handy. I like having that somewhere close by. That way when a bad guy's casting, you can just interrupt it. Flourish shot is a damage over time. And it's not extremely powerful, but what it does do is it does put a mark on your target that makes them take 5% more damage. So it actually is pretty handy to use to buff up the rest of your abilities. Then I got Sweeping Gunfire. You're going to want this one on your hotbar, especially because one of your utility points gives you 25% extra damage in dealing damage with Sweeping Gunfire. It's one of the best AoEs in the game, bar none. And a lot of what you're going to be doing in story content is spamming Sweeping Gunfire. Do be careful, it does eat up a lot of energy, but it is, you know, the juice is well worth the squeeze. Next I have Quick Draw, which is a takedown ability. That activates when the bad guy is at 30% or less, but it hits pretty hard, and it works into the normal rotations. Blaster Whip, I'm actually going to move over. Here on my mouse buttons, I have Cool Head and Defense Screen. Cool Head gives me energy, you know, so if I'm running low, I can pop that. Defense Screen is a defensive. It absorbs a moderate amount of damage. It gets better through utility points here. That'll increase the amount of damage that it takes. It's also on a very short cooldown, which is very, very handy. So if you know something's coming or something looks like it's about to be coming, you can pop that, and you can pop it fairly often. I have Hunker Down. Hunker Down, extremely important. This is like one of the signature defensives for a gunslinger. When I'm in cover, you can see how that lit up. I can pop Hunker Down. Whoops. Sorry, wrong key. There we go. You can pop Hunker Down, and you can see these extra barriers kind of come on in. There's also ways to buff that in the utility branches, so that it is extremely tough. And also, as an added bonus, as a Sharpshooter in this stance, when you use your covered escape, which is this guy here, at the end of it, you automatically get some Munker time too. Okay? Very, very handy, very, very useful. Lastly, I have my energy recharge move. That's just tied to one of my mouse keys. Over here, I have some of the other key defensives: dodge, diversion, scram field, flash grenade, and slice droid. Slice droid I probably use the least, dodge I probably use the most, and therefore I have these kind of set up appropriately for how I like to use them. Diversion's really great, especially if you're facing a mass of enemies. It's also a great raid utility. Scram field, also really great. Take 20% less damage while you're inside this gigantic field. Alright, it's on kind of a long cooldown, 2 minutes and 30 seconds, but raids will love you for this one. And there's going to be some fights that you're going to want to use that for yourself on too. You can move anywhere within the field, alright, and still be getting the benefit as long as the field lasts. Alright? Alright, those are pretty much the core ones. These guys down here are just ones that I've removed from other places. You may note that Take Cover is among them. I don't like Take Cover. One of the things that I would recommend as a gunslinger is going into your preferences, go to targeting, and bind a key for Take Cover in place. It's automatically Shift plus Mouse 3, which is a horrible combination for something that you're going to be doing a lot. So for me, there's a button on my mouse that I can just apply pressure with one of my fingers on, and I'll immediately just drop right down into cover. Why this is important is because take cover, will basically, if there's somewhere you can roll behind an object, then that is where it'll send you. If there's nothing, then it'll drop you straight down in place. That's going to get you into major trouble because that will roll you into crazy directions that you're not really prepared for. It'll give you line of sight issues. It's just not really good. So as a gunslinger, I bind that to take cover in place just always, and that way I can choose exactly where I want to be for these moves. Okay? Alright, and now I'm behind cover, and you can see me using sweeping gunfire. That's about it. There's other videos that'll show you exactly how to set up your rotations, and we'll have you work against a dummy that's on your ship to go ahead and show you, the best openers, the best fillers, like when to be popping your cooldowns. So I'm not going to go over a lot of that information here. What I did want to do is disseminate what the moves you should definitely be aware of for the Sharpshooter Gunslinger, where they are in your hotbar, and a good placement for them for right now. You may change things depending on like what your mouse and keyboard configuration setup is, but these are your core moves, and I highly recommend putting them on your, just if you're looking for making it easy, put the same moves on your standing hotbar, also on your cover hotbar. Alright guys, if you like this video, please go ahead and click like. If you want to subscribe, hey, that's awesome too. I love that. I'll also put down a new player referral link in there. If you want to join in on the fun and you haven't played this game yet, this is an awesome opportunity to do so. Just grab that. You'll get some about like 7 days free worth of game time to try it out. And that's on me. I'm on the Harbinger. My name's Zach. All my tunes are named Zach. I'd love to see you there. Until then, if you have any questions or anything like that, put them in the question box, and I will try to address them as they come in. All right, hope you guys are having a great one, and I'll see you next time.